we've got quite a few retirees, probably headed by Restless, who we call Choc now, but he was bred by my father out of a mare he raced and sold through Yarraman, and then ended up, my daughter rode him to quite, a few successful events where she won quite a few junior events in the 3-day event world. So that was great, and we've got quite a few horses now coming back from Hong Kong. We've got a lovely horse called Cool and Neat, owned by the Chung family, who came back from Hong Kong. He retires all his horses there back here now. And it's great to see Eloise, who's just started working for us, and he gave her to Eloise, and Eloise rides him every night, and she's got him going really well, and it's lovely to see it,
Yeah, and she's obviously, you can see her working on, getting Cool and Neat, this lovely Lonhro from Speedy Natalie, to kind of round into himself and just respond to her hand aids and leg aids and everything. I mean, it takes a little bit to get them to just listen to a rider when they've been racing, and especially coming from that Hong Kong, that really intense environment.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a very different thing to show jumping to being a flat racehorse. So, yeah, I mean, you have to spend quite a lot of time teaching them to, carry their head and collect themselves, and then you've got to go through the process of, getting them jumping properly and all that. There's a lot to it, but I mean, it's a very satisfying thing. I mean, Eloise loves riding this horse, and he's going really well for us, so it's nice.
So Choc or Restless, I mean, I sent a text off to Bronwyn and Victoria Farr. They had him for a while. Vic was eventing him, and I have this lovely vision of Willa, your daughter, when she was eventing him as well, just galloping around here at Yarraman and popping him over jumps and so on. So he had a really good life as an eventer. But when the time comes to retire them, he's done his service, and it's what you love to see, is to see them just relaxing and not having to do anything.
Yeah, I think he's 23 now, Restless. So. He was competing up till about 3 years ago, till he was 20, and he looks like a horse who's 17. I mean, he looks so well. Keeping them exercising like us, I suppose, is a big thing, and he's such a healthy horse even today at 23. He looks great. We put a rug on him in the winter, we put a fly veil on him, but he's out with 2 or 3 friends and enjoying his life, absolutely still enjoying his life.
Racing Victoria's accredited retrainer Caroline Price has had a lot of success with thoroughbreds off the track. I caught up with Caroline to see what it takes to train a green show jumper and how they can turn out a few years down the track, plus the vitally important issue of feeding them the right feed when they've been in race training. It's been really enjoyable seeing 2 different thoroughbreds you have, one that's pretty much straight off the track and one that's had plenty of work put into him. It takes a lot of time and training to get these horses to do what you want with whatever discipline it is, but gee, it must be a lot of fun to do so.
Yes, it is, Caroline. I've done it pretty much all my life since I was about 11 years old, so I've experienced all sorts of off the track horses, but the first one, Harry, his race name was Aramist, and he's an absolute darling. He's very green, he's only 5 years old, and I've just started him with the horses at that stage. I keep it really simple, I keep straight lines, just go forward into a soft contact and just get them relaxing over their back to build up their muscles to get strength for a little bit more collection down the track.
And this is a fellow who had 6 starts, no placings on the racetrack, so he wasn't a champion, no. But he is only 5, so everything he's doing now is learning. So when he takes a big flying leap in the round yard, it's just every step he takes is a learning curve.
Absolutely, and I put a lot of them in the round yard just for a lunge. It might only be 3 or 4 minutes just to have a play, have some fun, but then when I get on their back, I know they need to settle down and be serious and learn. Some people say, oh, it doesn't worry me, and they get on, but the horse actually gets scared when someone falls off them a lot of the time. So it avoids problems, I feel. And then we saw Yuma Nugget by Mossman. He's a lovely, big, strong, long sort of fellow, isn't he? From a Umatilla mare, Nugget as you call him, 13-year-old. So he had over 50 starts. He won 4 times, had 10 placings. He beat Captain Sonador, an Epsom winner, back in his early days when he was trained in Queensland. But he's
he really seems to enjoy, he looks like he wants to do what you're asking.
Yeah, Nugget is an absolute gem. He really is. I didn't get him straight off the track. He raced till he was about 9, maybe 10. A girl down the road had him, and I was actually looking for a horse for my 12-year-old to go on to. He takes everything in his stride. So he's gone in about 5 starts nearly to 2-star eventing, and he'd never evented before. He's metre-20, metre-25 show jumping. It's just easy. He always marks in the top 6 in the dressage. He doesn't need a lot of work. You just jump on, you just go. His heart rate's always great after the cross country.
Well, Caroline, this is a really important part of any stable, isn't it? The feed room. So explain what thoroughbreds really need. So particularly when they're first off the track, and then onwards when they're doing some sort of extra training, and you know, they do need more than the average horse, don't they?
Well, they do, because they've come from full in work, full racing fitness. They're fed high grain, high protein feed in work. If you bring them out to spell them in the paddock on just grass and grass hay, there's just not the protein they're used to, so they just deflate pretty much. So I also work for Prides as well as do the off-the-track horses, and we've got a range of feeds as they progress. Our main feed we suggest coming off the track is called Off the Track, and it's still got a good amount of protein without the heat for them, and it's also got a lot of probiotics in them, so just to settle the gut, because the gut often has a lot of ulcers and all sorts of things, and they can't digest a lot of food straight away. It's also got a lot of biotin in it. A lot of racehorses have hoof problems, so we suggest that feed first up, and then they can progress to something like the Easy Going, which we find a lovely feed, and it's a small pellet, so they can easily eat it and digest it compared to some of the big pellets. Also, the Easy Response, if you want a little bit more protein and get up and go in your horse, it's the next step up from the Easy Going. I recommend top it up with the Easy Result, or there's Easy Prep here, which is my all-time favourite feed. You only give them like 500 grams in each feed, and you notice in 3 or 4 days them just go and look amazing. So, and always supplement it with roughage. I use Lucerne chaff because that's actually lower sugar than the other chaffs, and Lucerne hay and a mixture of grass hay as well.
And you are an accredited retrainer by Racing Victoria. For racing owners looking for a retrainer, what should they look for?
I think someone that's done a lot of the retrainers and has a good reputation of placing them in the right place. It's one thing to train a horse, but you've kind of got to recognise what the horse is A, going to be good at, and B, the right sort of rider for it. Because it's no use, like Lankan Rupee is the perfect example. We tried to jump him, and he did not want to jump anything. I used to say his heart was in the wrong spot. It was on his head, not in his chest. But he's now gone to a show home, and he loves that. He thrives, and you know, he's doing what he likes doing, not what he's forced to do. I have to say, all my best horses have been thoroughbreds bar 2. And I've had a lot of horses, so I tend to revert back to the thoroughbred all the time. I think they're fantastic for kids because they've got a natural motor. You don't have to produce the canter. They just naturally go down to a jump on their own, natural energy, and most of them have a really good brain, are sensitive, careful jumpers. There's so many disciplines though for them. You know, polo, we forget about how good they are at polo and showing and eventing, show jumping. Yeah, there's just so many disciplines they can do compared to other breeds. They're a great horse.
Coming up next on Thoroughbreds Are Go, Arrowfield Studs, Strappers stories, and make sure you have a look at the Thoroughbreds Are Go Twitter and Facebook pages to see how you can get your rehome thoroughbreds on the show.